back today with a very special video. So this video is going to be going up on a Thursday, as you guys will see, and my new schedule is going to be Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But because of the news that came out yesterday with the Britney Spears conservatorship trial and like her testimony that she made, I really wanted to make a video that's kind of serving as a sequel to the video that I did a few months ago that was pretty much reviewing and talking about what we saw and learned in the New York Times Framing Britney Spears special that aired on Hulu. I talked in depth about that, and I will link that video, and also in the description box I will link the audio that was leaked from her speaking yesterday about her conservatorship hearing. I just want to say that for all of the naysayers and people who were like, oh, you know, it's not what we see, what it seems like, we don't know. I would like for you all to really, anyone who has denied this and pretty much said that, you know, we didn't know what we were talking about and all this other stuff, like, you owe, not me, not anyone else that you were saying that this didn't happen to, you owe Britney Spears an apology. And that is on top of all the people that were highlighted in that documentary. You owe her an apology, but also you do not have the right to speak on her name at this point, and I will go into that a little bit later. So a recap, in the Framing Britney Spears documentary, it talked about how she's in this conservatorship, which really is usually used for people who aren't in their sound mind, usually for elderly people who are going through dementia, Alzheimer's, and cannot make decisions for themselves. And so they can be a danger to themselves and or society, and for the betterment of them and the peace of mind for their families and friends and people around them, that they have a conservator or a person, almost like a power of attorney that we see in everyday life, that makes decisions for them, handles their finances, handles their everyday daily life things, because they cannot do it themselves. So Britney Spears is a grown woman, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face and be like, I've never understood why she was in a conservatorship. Now, I understand, you know, she may needed help. She had a mental break, which was not her fault. As someone who is at the tail end of millennials, I remember when all this was happening. So in 2007, 2008, when all this was going on, and really the downward spiral that started really around 2003, 2004, I was in middle school when this conservatorship started. And I distinctly remember, you know, seeing the way the paparazzi followed her, seeing the way that people treated her, the way they talked about her. I was all into reality shows. I was into the gossip magazines. I was into it. Obviously, I was 12. And I liked celebrity culture. So I knew what was happening. I've been a Britney Spears fan since I was 5 years old. She's extremely unproblematic, and she never really did anything to hurt anyone else. I mean, besides the whole Kevin Federline thing. But for the life of me, I don't understand. Okay, she made mistakes. Okay, she was down. If she wanted to spend up all her money, she can spend up all her money. She worked for that money. If I get super rich and I make music and I go on tour and I work for my teen years, supporting my family, doing whatever that needs to be done, and I decide that I want to spend up all my money on a man or do whatever, I can do that because it's my money and I can do what I want with it. You didn't work for my money, so therefore you cannot tell me what to do with my money. You know, her father, Jamie Spears, who, like I said, I don't even know if that man has ever worked a cash register at the Dollar Tree, that he has any type of financial knowledge to be making decisions about being a conservator or even putting people in charge of her finances. He needs to be side-eyed. The man was a drunk and an absentee father who used his daughter to get himself out of probably what was gambling debts or whatever he was doing, you know, out of impoverished Louisiana. And they've used her, climbed on top of her, because they couldn't keep jobs or work, and they couldn't do anything for themselves. Had children that they could not take care of. And I understand life happens, but they banked on this girl being rich. From the point she was in the Mickey Mouse Club to getting her a record deal, that she was ruining her vocal cords, putting on a baby voice to put up this childlike persona that is obviously very problematic within Hollywood, of the obsession that we have with the young women and giving off childlike features. But that's for another video. The fact that all of this happened and you saw the downward spiral, and the first thing that came to mind was, how do we put her in a situation that, yes, she needs to get help, but we still want to make sure that our cash cow keeps giving us milk? Because that's exactly what it was. I have my iPad here, and I'm gonna go over some of the testimony. And like I said, I will link one that you can read, and then I'll also link one that you can listen to the entire thing, because honestly, it was riveting but heartbreaking at the same time, because I just could not imagine what she has been going through for the past 13 years. I can't imagine. And so it starts off with her pretty much going in and talking about how, she hasn't been in court, and that she hasn't really been able to speak for herself in court. And here's the thing, there's been a lot of conservatorship stuff that's been going on in the courts in recent years. And I think that's when that when the documentary came out, it was talking about that. And I'm so glad that she was able to speak for herself. And so she pretty much starts out by saying that the people who did this to her, like, should not be able to walk away so easily. It was specifically talking about her father. And she was talking about, she was on tour in 2018, a tour that she was forced to do. And then they said if she didn't do the tour, that she would have to find an attorney. And by contract, her own management could sue her. And I would also like to say that it's crazy to me that they would take her to court and say that they would sue her, but she was paying for the lawyers that they were using to keep her in the conservatorship. So whenever they would go to court, or if anything needed to be changed, they were drawing it out of her bank account in order for them to find legal counsel so that they could take her to court to keep her in this, so that they could keep having access to her funds. There are so many problematic things with that. She was talking about that, she got papers, when she was in Vegas, and how really she just wanted a break. And the thing that really was a catalyst to the end of this, of her just being really fed up with it. Not to say she hasn't been fed up for years, but this was really obviously what was a catalyst to all of this, is that she was saying that people were saying, oh, she didn't want to do the tour. She said she wanted a break. She was doing Vegas. They do 5 shows a week, 5 nights a week in Vegas residency. She did that for 4 years. She was supposed to do another one, but she didn't end up doing that. And then she was supposed to be doing a tour. She said that, the thing that they tried to be when she said she didn't want to do the tour, was that they were saying, oh, well, she's not showing up to rehearsals, she's not doing what she needs to. And I actually saw a video today. I actually saw it on TikTok. I don't know if I saved it. If I did, I will add it in, where it was talking, it showed her, and it was she said she had to teach the dancers the choreography. She was coming up with all the choreography and teaching it to them. So she was there all the time, on top of having to do all these extra measures and stuff that they were doing, trying to see if she was mentally sound enough to be able to say she was mentally sound enough to be able to continue to do the tour, which she obviously was. But then also in them saying that she's not mentally capable of taking care of her own finances and being out of the conservatorship, but she can work for you, write music, produce, come up with choreography, continuously tour, do all the things that is keeping money into your pockets. Because let's just be clear and true, I think that there's some embezzlement or something going on, some type of scheming, because they are using her money. And like I said in the last video, the fact that they said in that New York Times documentary that she was making $1 million a week, it doesn't make any sense to me that she did this tour for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, was making $1 million a week in her bank account. I understand you have to pay your agent, have to pay taxes and all that stuff, but there's no reason that this woman should only be worth $60 million. The fact that she's getting royalties from Mickey Mouse Club, royalties from Crossroads, the money that she would have got from being a judge on X Factor, royalties that she gets from other people's songs that she has written, or that she has been on, the little album that she just released. It was a few months ago, that had some songs that she put out, on top of the fact that I know she gets sponsorship deals. Her perfumes are still some of the best-selling perfumes to come out really of all time, that are still being sold everywhere. I see them everywhere still, and people are buying them. You're not going to sit here and tell me that Britney Spears is only worth $60 million, of the likes of other people who have been around in less time that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and she's been working her butt off since this conservatorship? Come on. Really? No way. There's no way. $60 million. And I know for me, $60 million may seem like it's a lot for me and you, but the way that this woman is worked to the bone, the salaries that she's getting, that she's not some newbie that was doing a Vegas residency. She was getting paid So where is the money? This woman can't even go to a McDonald's drive-thru and order a McGriddle without her daddy, having to have a text heads up first so that she could swipe her own debit card. And you're going to sit here and tell me that someone isn't thinking that, hey, this man who was an absentee father drunk, that who all of a sudden only was in his daughter's life really when she became famous and was making money, and now he wants to have everything to do with her finances when he could barely take care of his own family when he needed to in the prime of her life. You're going to sit here and tell me that now all of a sudden this man is, second best to the CEO of JP Morgan. Who is making these decisions? And I'm side-eyeing the state of California because I cannot believe that after all the written testimony and things that people have been saying, that nobody thought to say, hey, that maybe this is a little bit wrong. I don't know. I digress. So, she was talking about how like there were periods where she was scared for her life, and that, they would be nice to her, but she would always feel kind of like iffy about it because she didn't know if they were just being nice to her because they wanted something else out of her. She would talk about that there were like 6 different nurses that would be in her home. They would come in and out of her home, and that they recently did a change with her therapy, but she had to go to someplace in Westlake, and she said that the place that she was going to was it was in bird's eye view, and it was so open that people could see it. And so paparazzi were getting pictures of her crying coming out of her therapy sessions. And not only are you putting your heart on your sleeve, like therapy is something that is really difficult to go through, therapy, counseling, seeing a psychiatrist and stuff, and doing all of that, and then having to come out, and it's almost like you have no peace of mind because you're so worried about what people are going to see and what people are going to think, and taking pictures and plashing them onto all these magazines. It's crazy. And I even said this, I have said this for a while, and I said in the last video as well, that it's crazy to me that whenever the conservatorship would come back up and that she would want out of the conservatorship or a change in it, they would put her in some rehab facility, and then she would come out loopy and, just all over the place. I will never forget the video on Instagram where she posted, the videos, and she's like, oh yeah, I burned down my gym. Or the one where she was talking about the soap, and she was like, it's soap. It was like a rose, and she was like in the bathtub, and she was like, it's not a real rose. And she sounded like a 5-year-old. I was like, Britney, like, wiggle your toes if you need help. Like, blink twice if you're being held captive. Like, and then she even said it. She was like, she went to her therapist, and they had her on a certain medication for 5 years, and all of a sudden they gave her lithium, and she said she felt like she was drunk. And they would just give her and prescribe her all these medications that would make her be even more out of it. Probably because her father, I don't know if, and I'm not saying that, they've been bribing people, but in my point of view, the only way that this makes sense to me is if someone is being snuck some money under the table, because it makes no sense. You're in the right side of mind. She can judge X Factor, go on tour, do all these things. As soon as she needs to come to court, or if she wants to change something, she comes out like, drunk as a skunk, looking like she can barely move herself or barely make sound decisions or pick out the right crayon out of a 24 pack of Crayola. It just doesn't seem right to me, and she even said it. She's like, when she would say something, or if she, was in sound of mind to be like, hey, I don't like this, here comes some doctor somewhere prescribing her something that she doesn't need. She knows her body, she knows herself. And she's not saying that she doesn't need medication, that she doesn't need help, or, whether she wasn't going through hardships or mental illness, or taking care of herself. She was just saying that, like, it's really crazy that they would prescribe to her these super strong drugs, and then it makes her seem like she's crazy, but she's drugged up. So, like I said, I think someone needs to be looking into the doctors. So she was saying that, like, she said no to Vegas, and then the therapist set her down the room, and said that she wasn't cooperating in rehearsals, and then they put her on lithium. Yeah, she said she couldn't take up for herself. She said, I couldn't even have a conversation with my mom or dad really about anything. Told them I was scared, and my doctor had me on 6 different nurses with new medication come into my home, stay with me to monitor me. And then she talked about how, they would lock her up and there were doctors and stuff, and how she couldn't even have a door for privacy. Like, people would be in there when she would change clothes and take baths and stuff. Like, that's so demoralizing. And she said it over and over again. She was like, it's so demoralizing to be a grown woman, almost 40-year-old woman, who can't even go in a room and take a bath by herself without some people watching her. It's disgusting. That absolutely is disgusting. You know, she said they wouldn't let me get in the car, go anywhere for a month. She said my family didn't do a thing about it. She's like, her dad was all for it. Anything that happened to her was approved by her dad because he was in charge of the conservatorship. And I even said recently when her mom, Lynn, was trying to insert her way into it, I side-eyed her so much because she is culpable in this because she sat idly by and watched that man take advantage of her daughter. She sure did. And Jamie Lynn too. All of them have a part in this for not standing up for her. And it's disgusting. It really shows you how greed will do so much. And you see the way certain people, certain celebrities turn out when they don't have family who cares about their best interest and just want to use them for money. And they allow them for all types of just ghastly things to happen to them within Hollywood, which honestly can be a very, very just questionable place. And so it's so disheartening because you see the difference between the child stars and the people who start so young in this industry when they don't have genuine people backing them and behind them standing up for their well-being and their best interests. You see the difference. And this right here is a telltale sign of parents who put their kids into the show business because they themselves don't want to work and they would rather work their kids to the bone to be rich because they see an inkling of talent in them and not pushing them because they know that their kid would love it and because it's something that would be good at, but because they think that they can milk them for all that they have. And then we're supposed to look past it because they're parents. No. They said that they were going to send her to a small home in Beverly Hills, and then they said that she was going to have to pay $60,000 a month. I love how, like, you want to get me help, but then you also want to get the most expensive thing for me that I have to pay for. like it's crazy. And she was talking about, like, you know, they took all her possessions away when she had to go off to this rehab. You know, they took her credit cards, cash, her phone, passport. You know, they said that she couldn't have access to them, so that she couldn't leave. She's being pretty much held captive at this point. 24/7 security. She said there was a chef that came, but like they had to watch her. Like I said, she said she had to give 8 gallons of blood a week. She was like, if I didn't do any of my meetings and work from 8 to 6 at night, which is 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, you had no days off. She wouldn't be able to see her kids or her boyfriend. She said she never had a say in her schedule. Just sitting in a chair for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, it's not fun. Like, especially when you can't walk out of the front door, you know. And she said 2 years later, you know, she was lying and saying that she was okay because she was scared. And she talked about how she gave the reference of like Paris Hilton, and she was talking about when Paris Hilton was talking about the school and everything that happened to her. She was like, she didn't believe it. She was like, that can't be real. And so she said that because there is this level of, you know, not really curiosity, but like you kind of question whether or not sometimes celebrities are being forthright or forthcoming with the things that are happening, or if they're just saying it because they want publicity. You know, she said that she didn't think anybody believed her. And it was after that New York Times, you know, documentary and everything that happened, you know, obviously since this conservatorship has happened, she's obviously had, you know, not a lot of, interaction with people, especially with a lot of the stuff that's been happening, and especially since people seeing like the downward spiral that she was having when I'm speaking about her mental state that obviously was happening because she was being drugged up. You know, she said that she didn't think anybody would believe her. And then, you know, she said that she saw that she had support, and that's what made her, you know, come forward. And she also said that she didn't know that she could fight the conservatorship. And she said she blames it on her ignorance for not knowing. But I mean, I'm not, you know, who's to say that they weren't blocking her internet access and, you know, and blocking, you know, certain things that she could look up, blocking comments on her Instagram so that, you know, because I remember like people would ask her questions. She's like, oh, people ask me these questions. Who's to know they weren't filtering her Instagram, you know, just so that she couldn't hear what was going on in the outside world, just to keep her in this bubble? Who's to say that that wasn't happening? I don't know, but it makes a lot of sense. And so she was saying that, you know, she's fighting it now because she says the main thing that she wants to fight for is the fact she wants to end a conservatorship without being evaluated, because she's scared that if an evaluation or something needs to happen, or who's to say they're not going to, you know, pull up some of those old tricks to make her look like she's not as sound in mind. And she's saying that she's dealt with this enough. She's shown plenty of evidence. It has been a written record, and the state of California needs to do something to stop this. You know, she was talking about how, you know, Miley Cyrus can smoke joints on stage at the VMAs. You know, nothing's ever done to this generation. And I will say that I feel like this generation of celebrity have done, you know, the older girls, they partied, they did stuff, whatever. But I feel like this generation has very stepped into, and I don't mean this generation as the millennial or Gen Z. I just mean the generation that we're living in, of just generation of celebrity, a generation of, what I mean is like not necessarily like people in ages, but this entire like modern era of celebrity that I would say started really with the 2010s, and what people are allowed to do and say on stage, you know, and paparazzi have kind of died down, yes, but the things that people do really for attention now it's quite wild, the things that people do say. We're in the age of OnlyFans and all this other stuff, and it's just, it's so out there. Like the fact that we thought some of the stuff that people were doing in the early 2000s is crazy. Like that doesn't even compare to some of the stuff that some of these celebrities are doing now. And it's their own life. They can do whatever they want. Like, you know, I'm sure if we were all super rich that we would do whatever we wanted to and not have a care in the world, especially if you're a white person. You can do whatever you want in America or really anywhere else in the world. Nobody cares. No one's going to stop you unless you're Britney Spears. And if you have a money hungry family that's going to make sure that, you know, you don't swindle anything because they want to live off of it for the rest of their lives. And she was talking about that when she was at the Bridges facility, that she was the only one that had to do the program. And she was like, why was she being forced to do this program? And none of the other people there were being forced to, you know, to take part in any of the activities. So that doesn't shock me either. She said that she wants to own her own money, and she said that she wants to, you know, do all this without being tested. You know, she just wants her life back. And, you know, she said that, you know, she wants, and it was also very telling when she talked about how she has an IUD implanted in her and that they made her get it. They took away this woman's kids, and I don't really know how they thought that Kevin Federline was the best person to be raising these children. But they took her kids, and then they made her get an IUD, and then she can't go to the doctor to get the IUD taken out because they said that she can't have kids under the conservatorship. She can't get married, can't do anything. Imagine being a near 40-year-old woman and you can't even take out your birth control. You have no bodily autonomy, but you can go out and work and do tours and do all this other stuff. No, I don't like that. And so she was like, you know, she had to get all of this off of her chest, and that, you know, that's the main reason why she's there. She wants to end it without having to be evaluated. It's like, I've done a lot of research, ma'am. There's a lot of judges who do in conservatorships for people without them having to be evaluated all the time. The only times they don't is if concerned family member says something's wrong with the person considered otherwise. She's like, considering my family has lived off my conservatorship for 13 years, I won't be surprised if one of them has something to say. Go forward and say, we don't think this should end. We have to help her, especially if I get my fair share in turn exposing what they did to me. Also, I want to speak to you about the moment, my obligation, which I personally don't think at the very moment I owe anybody anything. And she also talks about how she says she wants to be able to sue her family for what they have done to her. And I wholeheartedly agree. I agree. She should be able to sue them for the millions that they have been stealing from her. She can't get her time and she can't get that part of her life back, but she should get something that would be able to suffice. And I think seeing them suffer the way that she did is more than enough. That may seem harsh to some people, but I completely agree. What this woman has been through is unimaginable. And this is just what she said. Imagine what she's been going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And it has to be a lot worse. You know, I don't even think that this is all of it. Like I said, that's the gist of that. I listened to it was like an almost 30-minute thing yesterday, and I was heartbroken. I was. And I'm so happy that a lot of other celebrities have stepped up. I saw Mariah Carey, Brandy, Keke Palmer, Halsey says it, like a bunch of people have said something. And honestly, I think this conservatorship needs to end. Like I said, she's a grown woman. She wants to she wants to swindle all her money. She wants to give it all away, throw it out the window, you know, dump it off of the top of the Empire State Building. She can do whatever she wants because she earned it. And it is no one else's job to say what she can and cannot do with it. I would be really interested to see what her son, the one who's, I think he's like 16 or 17 now, I'd be really interested to see what happens when he turns 18 and what he has to say. because I know that like I think he had like an Instagram where he had said something and he like talked about his grandfather and how he doesn't like him. So we'll see. I'm really interested in seeing what he has to say. I hope this woman gets her kids back. It's just so sad seeing someone who was such a bright star, but you know, and it's kind of telling because I feel like sometimes the brightest stars, these things happen to them, and it's just, well, if you, and this is something like, as someone who wants, and still I would like to be a part of the entertainment industry. I've always loved acting. I've always loved the arts. I've always loved this stuff, which is why I think I've always been so drawn to celebrities and entertainment and stuff like that. You know, if you don't have a solid backing, if you don't have people around, and I'm not talking about yes people, I'm not talking about people who are just like, yes, you're so amazing. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who genuinely care about your well-being, are going to be there for you, are going to be truthful with you, are going to make sure that you're going to be okay. You need that. And this is for anybody that watches this who wants to be in the entertainment industry. I am not in it, but I don't think I need to be in it to tell people that you need to think long and hard about what you want to do. And, you know, parents, you know, before you put your kids into those situations, you need to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, because it's just so sad to see the downfall of some of these celebrities and these entertainers. Like I said, her whole family is complicit at this point, and someone needs to do something to help her. And I hope that the judge rules to end the conservatorship, because I've always thought they should have been. I don't even understand why she was in it to begin with. Like I said, I've never understood that. I've never understood it. So I don't know. We'll see, like, in the coming days, weeks, months, what happens. You know, if she speaks out again, if she says something on her Instagram or whatever, you know, I want to know. Like, I want to know more. Like, I know that she has so much more to tell. I'm waiting for the tell-all book. That book, when talking about a New York Times bestseller, that expose it'll be selling like hotcakes. I can't wait till Britney tells everything. She's going to tell everything about everybody. Ain't no skeletons in no closets. Like, she's going to throw the whole thing out. Like, I want to know everything. I do. I really do. And I'm going to say this. What's that woman's name? Was it Diane Sawyer? It was the one who did the interview with her. Don't speak on her name. The people of TMZ don't speak on her name. Perez Hilton, keep her name out of your mouth. And especially, this is an extra, especially Justin Timberlake, keep her name out of your mouth. The same way you need to keep Janet Jackson's name out of your mouth. The problematic men in the tabloids and the news media, gossip news media, who sat there and ruined this woman's character, defamed her, talked about her morals, talked about her being an unfit mother when she was going through postpartum depression. You all need to have several seats. Don't try to change the narrative now. Don't try to apologize now, because you, as journalists, as people within the entertainment industry who are supposed to be her friends, close colleagues, opened your mouths to demoralize this woman, to make her seem like she was unfit, to make her seem like she was crazy, to make her seem like she was like some slut, that she was a terrible person when she did nothing to anyone. They did that to that woman. And they owe her an apology, but that becomes the end of it. Don't be trying to sit here and be like, oh, well, we need to do something to help, because you played a part in it as well. And when people come to terms to the way that the actions that they have, the actions that they take part in, that they do in sound of mind, that they decide to wake up each morning and make questionable decisions that affect other people's lives, I want people to think about that. Because it is something to have your life ruined for almost 15 years, to the better part to almost 2 decades, that this woman has been dealing with this horrendous treatment within not just Hollywood, but in her everyday life with the people around her, is so incredibly telling. I wish her the best. I really do. I really do wish her the best. I do. Britney Spears has a big enough fan base that I think that she will be all right. And I do think that she has a big enough fan base, and she has the privilege of being a blonde-haired white woman on her side as well, that the media will snatch onto this. Now, I know that didn't really help her when it came to gossip and the tabloids and stuff, but I think it will help her in this instant, because it will. She's getting media airtime and airplay. So I think that she has the court of public opinion on her side. We'll just see what, you know, the courts of California have to say. So yeah, that is all for my video today. Just like I said, came in to be like, hashtag free Britney every day until she is freed and that she can live her life the way that she wants to. I wish her all of the best, and I will come on and make another video and talk about if we have any updates within the conservatorship case. And I will be back tomorrow with another video talking about a little bit more in the entertainment industry, but having to do with TV shows and teen shows and how they have evolved and some of the issues that I have with some of the content that they are putting out. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I cannot wait to see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave some comments down below on what you think about this whole conservatorship issue. Bye.